What is going down, sourdough and spicy squad? It is I, Brad Graham, and of course, as always, Jason Aponte on this state of the franchise in the New York Fitted, I might add. But we'll be back in a second to talk about all things Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo, and of course, San Francisco 49ers. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Well, Jason, I don't think we're going to have a lot to talk about, but before we get into San Francisco 49ers, why are you repping New York today? What could be the reason?
Wait, did something happen today? This is just my regular Wednesday fit. Am I out of the loop? What happened?
It's the regular Wednesday fit.
It's just a regular Wednesday, man. It's a regular Wednesday fit right here, man. This don't have nothing to do with anything that just happened.
It couldn't be a coincidence or anything, could it?
Look, I know you guys are here for the hard-hitting, cutting edge baseball stuff, but I don't know if this should help you guys or if it makes you more mad. The whole Aaron Judge coming home thing was something you made up. And it's a little bit your fault. And here's what I mean by that. When you at Aaron Judge in a Giants uniform and he's going to be a free agent, his social media team knows that, he takes that and says, I am going to use you guys to pay me or to give me something, and then I'm going to go back to the Yankees and I'm going to get what I want. So it is what it is. It was always going to be this. And I think that what Giants fans are having a hard time coping with right now is that just because he's from California doesn't mean that he values going home to play for the Giants rather than becoming the next New York Yankees captain, the next number that is sent into Monument Park, the next iconic Yankee legend. You can think what you want. That don't mean something to you, but it means something to Aaron Judge. That's it.
Hey, we had to give Jason his platform, his soapbox to speak on, because I'm sure a lot of people were adding this man on Twitter and all that good stuff. So we got to give him.
And that's really what it's about more than anything, Brad. Brad, I went out of my way to make sure that I said, I love this for the Giants. I would love that if he goes there. I love this for the fans, right? But everybody incessantly trolls me, right? And when I let stuff go, whatever. But when I say something, I'm wrong, right? Stop poking the bear. If you know I'm petty, leave me alone. Leave me be. Like, leave me be. Leave me be.
You heard it. Leave him be. The Petty King is here. And shout out Joey for the channel membership. Shout out to all the SDS. We're going to talk about the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to talk about football because I'm not going to lie. I know a lot of people like baseball, including Jason. I got too much ADHD for baseball. I loved playing it, but I cannot. Too many games. It's too. I'm in that subcategory that just. I get bored really quickly. So anyways, we're not going to get bored with this conversation, Jason, because obviously a lot has happened since the last time we spoke last Wednesday. We were talking about this game, what the outcome could potentially be. I don't think either one of us predicted Brock Purdy coming out the other side with a W. Well, what is just like high level over, and we'll drill into it. But what is just kind of your high level takeaway from that game against the Dolphins?
I think, first of all, stop playing with my coach. Stop talking crazy about my coach, who effectively ended that drive that was at the end of the game with Miami. Stop playing with my coach, who was able to play his 7th round rookie, the last pick in the draft, and competently move the offense, and stop playing with Brock Purdy a little bit. In terms of this is what makes the game more impressive. Brock Purdy, I wasn't the highest on him in training camp. I think we all know that. Objectively, what I saw at training camp was concerning. He would throw some mind-numbing interceptions. He would make decisions that I'm just like, what on earth are you looking at? He would make a nice throw here. He was very good situational drill, right, Brad? Can you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also made the admission, like, I wasn't really paying attention to the third string quarterback. I'll be
Right.
honest. I was watching
No.
other positions,
And
and
one more
I
thing.
wasn't
One more
really
thing.
paying attention to
If
good old Glock Purdy.
if Trey got 7 reps during the period, if Sudfeld got 4 reps during the period, then Purdy got 2. And also Brock didn't go against the ones. So like let's throw that away. That wasn't the ones that he was going up against. But yeah, some concerning things, but I do think that the things that you should walk away objectively and say that were very good about this game. He didn't flinch. The Dolphins blitzed the shit out of this kid, and he didn't flinch. He
Yes, they did.
processes the field so fast. And when people make the comparison to Nick Mullens, I think it's bang on because Nick Mullens was a better processor than Jimmy Garoppolo, who I have some things to say about Jimmy Garoppolo because I feel awful for this man right now. So, but that doesn't make him better. What he does better right now is process. He's very good. He is going to be asked to do the same things that Jimmy Garoppolo was asked to do: distribute the ball, get it out of your hand fast, get it to your playmakers. But at the same time, when you think about being thrust into this, Miami being one of the most aggressive teams in not only in terms of man coverage and in blitzing, he looked like he didn't flinch at all. Like he was ready for the moment. So props to him for staying ready. Very impressive what he did. I think it's all the more impressive when you think about the magnitude of the game that was hyped up all week and being thrown in and doing what he did. So, yeah.
I mean, let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. It's been kind of a whirlwind the last 24 hours. Obviously, the big news to come out of the game was that he broke his foot early in the first quarter, had to exit, didn't return. Then we find out right after the game ended that he had a broken foot, and it did not appear like there was any shot at getting Jimmy Garoppolo back this year. Then it comes out from Adam Schefter that it's not a Liz Frank injury. It's a 7 to 8 week timetable for potential return. Kyle Shanahan kind of, kind of put the fire out a little bit on the potential Jimmy Garoppolo return for the playoffs. What's just your take on Jimmy going down at the time he went down?
I'm gutted for him. And I'm going to keep that same energy that I had when Trey Lance went down, when Emmanuel Mosley went down, when Jason Verrett went down. I hate it when anybody loses their season to injury. But can we just talk about the things that Jimmy Garoppolo's had to deal with? Injury in 2017. Oh, no, 2018. 2019, yep. Super Bowl berth. 2020, injury. 2021, Trey Lance gets drafted, has to hear this in the entire offseason, handles it like a consummate professional, goes out there during the playoffs and plays through all those injuries, and it feels like it's over. Says his goodbyes. We think he's going to be moved on. Wasn't allowed a training camp, wasn't given a playbook, handles it like a consummate pro. Signs back, gets pressed into duty again, starts playing his best football, and he loses another season to an injury. I'm not even talking about the football stuff because I don't care what anybody says. You're not gonna sit here and tell me that you think Brock Purdy's better than Jimmy Garoppolo because that's ridiculous. And anybody right now making one proclamation or the other on Brock Purdy after one game, that seems a little bit short-sighted. But I'm just talking about the human being. I feel for Jimmy Garoppolo, man. I really do, man. It can't be easy. Just because what's the saying? Just because someone carries the weight well doesn't mean that it's not heavy. And I think a lot of the things that we say and we do and things are said around him, he just like blocks it out and the teammates love him. They were broken at the end of the game. I think after the high wore off and you found out all that stuff, I'm just broken up for the human being, Jimmy Garoppolo, because he's had to deal with a lot. When we critique Jimmy Garoppolo, it has only to do with football. I don't think anybody can ever say he's not tough. I don't think anybody can ever say that he's not a good teammate, any of those things. He seems like a genuine good guy. Everyone loves him. I just feel for him because he was on his way to auditioning for his next team. Now it's another year of rehab if he can come back. And I think that's where the discussion is starting to go now. Will he be able to play?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough situation for Jimmy. And again, it's a polarizing topic with Jimmy Garoppolo, and we've known that for a couple of years now. So you're going to get people who are, on either side of it. But I think you said it perfectly. He has been nothing more than a consummate professional, clearly a leader in the locker room. I mean, at a certain point, you just have to listen to what these players are saying, and they have all the respect in the world for him. And what he went through this year, you got to tip your cap to him. And he was playing probably his best football of his career consistently this season with all the circumstances of no offseason, the surgery, whatever the drama may be. So you got to tip your cap to what he's been able to do. And it is really unfortunate because I think he was starting to flip some of the fan base that might have been, a little bit more hesitant to buy in, really holding out, for Trey, which is understandable. I can understand those people, but it's a tough situation because he had an opportunity to get paid and really kind of set himself up for the future. Now that's back into question. And there's going to be a whole other conversation that's going to happen, but we'll save that for the offseason, Jason. No need to get into that now. But let's talk about a little bit more about Brock Purdy. And coming in, I want to talk, this quote came out, I think, from the locker room right before we hopped on here. And we had Bridget Condon, who I believe is a reporter for the NFL. She said she was talking to Trent Williams, and he said, quote, let me reset that. You would think he's been in the league for 15 years. If you're talking, he'll say, shut your ass up. He ain't no timid rookie feeling his way around. He will get on your ass. You would think he's like Peyton Manning or something. Like, we know he's not Peyton Manning. It was one game. But he came in and he did his thing. He balled out. He was a big reason why the San Francisco 49ers won that game against the Dolphins.
Yeah, that touchdown, you could see it. The vibes, right? Like, there are two throws in this game that I was particularly taken back with. The 3rd and 10 to Kittle on the skinny post over the middle, where he had a free rusher in his face, stood in there, and not only just got the ball near him, put it where it needed to be. Right out of Kittle's break. I think you guys should watch if you haven't. I think it's only on his Patreon, but he's been posting the clips on Film School. JT O'Sullivan's breakdown of this. The ball comes out before. Yeah, here we go. Now play it, Brad. Play it. Stop right there. Keep going.
Oh,
keep going.
Where you want? Tell me.
Right there. Now look, he's not out of his break. He's not out of his break right there. He's not out of his break before he starts getting ready to let that thing go. Go for it. Now look, and that ball is exactly where it needed to be. That is something that he called high level, and it looks like it. It fits the part. That was the first most impressive throw. The second most impressive throw for me from Brock Purdy when I watched the film was an incompletion. And it was the touchdown. It was right before the touchdown before the half. It was literally the play before Christian McCaffrey scores the touchdown. And if you could pull it up, I'd love to talk through it.
Easy money.
Is this it? Okay, perfect. All right. What I want you to watch is, this is a zone. This is a man processing right here. Processing what he's seeing, okay? Now, look at this. He can only put this ball in the place that it went. Right there. In between two guys with enough zip and being able to know where he was going to sit that thing down.
Yep.
And he puts it on Christian McCaffrey, and McCaffrey drops it, unfortunately. That should have been a touchdown. For me, that throw was much more impressive than the next play, which was a touchdown.
Yep.
Those were two throws that kind of showed me, man, he does have a little bit of this in him. And again, so what I want to talk about is the Nick Mullens thing. I will say this. The process for Nick Mullens and his process, and this is why Kyle loves him, was better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He can process the field better, but his arm wasn't better. But his arm wasn't better than Jimmy's, right? It's not better. And sometimes he would make some baffling decisions. So here's my thing. You can easily be encouraged about what you saw with Brock Purdy. I mean, how can you not after one game? But Nick Mullens had games like that, and then the next week would turn into a pumpkin. And that's what kind of scares the hell out of me right now. That's it. I'm not trying to be negative. I am not trying to be negative. What I'm trying to tell you is, after one game, please stop making sweeping statements. The whole Baker Mayfield thing was, well, I'm just going to ride with Brock. Okay, it's one game. I feel you if you're high on him and you're enthusiastic, but people were speaking in absolutes like Good game, very good game. But the 49ers need to explore all options. Obviously, they felt they're fine. Josh Johnson, who I think is good. I think when he was pressing the duty with Baltimore, he played well. I'm not expecting Brock Purdy to play poorly, but you have to figure out what he is, and you have to hope that it doesn't happen. Now, I'm not telling you I want that to happen, but all things are possible right now with a guy who just played in his first NFL game and threw his first 2 NFL touchdowns. That's it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we know, just like any type of evaluation process, like things are up and down, right? And you can't evaluate a player off one single game. You can't evaluate them off one single drive. There's multiple things that need to be taken into account. But because this is the first time that we've seen Brock Purdy, he showed a lot. And those 2 plays that you talked about were absolutely phenomenal. And he stacks plays like this. Again, I don't know what's going on with the offensive line. They kept catching the offensive line sliding protection to the wrong way. They're dropping out defensive tackles and getting free rushers. But Brock Purdy's ability, he did this multiple times, to bait the free rusher and then bail out at the last second, shows multiple things. One is a cerebral ability to be able to identify that there is a free rusher, 2, not panic, and have a plan to escape as a result, and then be able to get outside the pocket, throw on the run, dip your shoulder, and throw sidearm around the outstretched hands of Jalen Phillips, a guy we talked about last week, who has a lot of upside as a defensive end and an edge rusher.
You love him.
These are things you can be excited about.
Yeah.
The test for Brock Purdy is, how do you do next week? How do you do now with all the hype? How do you do with the nickname, the fan base? I mean, let's be honest, Jason. We haven't seen this fan base so galvanized in the same direction about a quarterback since Jimmy Garoppolo got here in 2017. It's been that long.
Why does it just feel like Nick Mullens, though? Nick Mullens against the Raiders?
I feel like it's different than Nick Mullens, because I still believe fans held out for Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, it was like a holding pattern. I don't know. I mean, I was there that Thursday night when Nick Mullens tore up the Raiders in his first career start. I don't know. This feels like just a little bit more. Maybe it's because we've been watching the fan base bicker about Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance for the last 2 years, and it might feel a little bit different.
They still are, and both of them are injured. Yo, can we talk about that real quick? There's two quarterbacks who are both injured, and everyone's fighting and killing each other.
They're still talking about who's like.
It's like, guys, please, I beg you, guys. There's a team right now that has 5 straight wins, 53 men on this roster, a 7th-round quarterback, and has a game this weekend. But yet, everyone is killing each other about who should come back hypothetically if one is healthy over the other. You cannot make this up. And I want to reiterate the take that I had on Twitter. This team, people call us content creators. We don't create the content. We are in a boat with a bunch of fish jumping in, and we're trying to smack the fish and keep it in the boat without having it jump out. We don't create the content. The 49ers create the content. We just sit here and try to recap it all.
We spin the content is essentially what we do.
That is it. It's just crazy to me, guys. Like, there's a big game against some guy who used to be a Rams fan. I did some research. I mean, a Rams fan, a Niners fan. I did some research. Did you know Tom Brady used to be a 49ers fan?
No way.
My God. And this might be his last time coming back to the Bay. Wow. I mean, this is the deep stuff that you needed to come here and get. There's a game in front of you against a playoff team, a team with a very good defense, a way that we're going to be able to really judge where Brock Purdy is with a whole week of preparation against the team that is desperate to win, and a Seattle game right after that, and possibly a playoff berth. But here we are arguing about Jimmy Garoppolo. If he's ready to go and Trey Lance is ready to go, who should start in a completely hypothetical thing that may not come to pass at all. You cannot make it up. You really can't. I mean, I just don't get it.
It's a good time, man. That's why you and I were able to just buckle down and talk about the San Francisco 49ers 365 days a year, because there's always something to discuss, argue, try to provide context or clarity about. There's always something going on, right, in our neck of the woods. But in regards to Brock Purdy, and I understand there's always, when something like this happens, like, isn't there like a saying out there that like the most popular quarterback is a backup quarterback? Like there's you want what you don't really know sometimes, and you kind of get excited about it. And then when you see a player like Brock Purdy come in and he had a phenomenal game, let's call it what it is. It was a great game. It wasn't perfect. He had multiple big misses. He did run into a sack at one time and didn't feel the pressure. So he's not perfect. There's still room for improvement and growth. But it's all the things contextualized into one. Mr. Irrelevant, really getting his first playing time in the NFL, going from Trey Lance to Jimmy Garoppolo to now Brock Purdy getting his opportunity. And then he comes in a highly competitive game that we've been touting for a long time and being a big reason why they won. Let's face it, Jason, we're going to call it what it is. The run game has not been good enough the last 2 weeks. So Brock Purdy, and for that team to score points, a lot rode on his shoulders. He had to do a lot because the run game is hurting right now.
Can I ask you a question? And if I'm crazy, I'm gonna throw you something.
Yeah.
You can, if you like it, you
I'll
can
just
keep it. If
push
if
it
you don't
right
like
back.
it, just push it right back. Good, thank you. Okay. Is Kyle philosophically changing pass over run and instead of run over pass? 37 attempts last week for Jimmy Garoppolo, 37 attempts for Purdy. Yes, I understand the run game might not be working, but doesn't it feel like Kyle would have just continued to run and run and run even if it wasn't working, as opposed to right now having these guys, putting them in a spot where they can throw the ball in places where it's good for them and moving the ball that way? Does it feel like Kyle's evolving like in that way? That's the question I have for you, Brad. Is there a little bit of a philosophical change because of what's going on with the team and he's learning how to play to people's strengths in that way and just playing to whatever it is that he thinks he can get done going forward on fourth down? That's another big thing, you know? And also challenge flags, man. I mean, he wiped off the only third down. Yeah, he wiped off the only third down that Miami had. Got it out of there. That's wiped that out. And then he ended the game with the fourth down one. Kyle Shanahan's still growing, evolving as a coach right now, playing to his team's strengths, understanding that I'm not just going to bang my head against the wall over and over when things aren't working, trusting his quarterback to make throws. What do you think about that, Brad?
I mean, that's what the run game, it feels like watching the run game. I feel like I'm going to bang my head against the screen because it's just like every play, it's a missed leverage block. It's a missed this. It's a one step behind. It's wrong hand placement, wrong head placement, wrong guy. I'm like, can we get some consecutive plays where the run game is gelling and flowing together? And I don't know if that's because it is a combination of, they've had a revolving door at right guard, and then new center, new guard. They've done decently well in pass protection, right? We're talking about an offensive line that I think is better in pass protection right now than as a run blocking team. So in regards to your question about Kyle Shanahan kind of adjusting what he typically does, I think he has to. Because when you're watching the run game, especially the last 2 weeks, and I think it's two-pronged. I can't look at the offensive line and say it's all on the offensive line. It's also these defenses. These defenses have figured out the offense in a sense, just like the passing game, just like we're seeing. How many free rushers did that? I've never seen so many free rushers on a Kyle Shanahan offense because they kept catching them sliding protection to the wrong side and dropping out coverage to the side that they're. I don't have the answer of how to fix it. All I can say is I see it, and if I see it, opposing defenses see it. They have the key and they figured it out, and they haven't been able to adjust to it. So Brock Purdy made a lot of plays, but in regards to the run game, yeah, they have to, because it's just not working. They're trying to pull guards. They're trying gap scheme. The most successful runs that they had against the Dolphins were zone. So I'm like, run more zone. Just let your running backs do the work. The blocking scheme simplifies immensely when you start running zone. It's basically just double the backer across the board, and you let the running back find the hole. So the gap scheme isn't working. They're not efficient and effective enough at running it. So, and also the defenses are sensing it's coming and they are plugging gaps. So Kyle has to evolve because the run game, just at least the last 2 weeks, it was really nice against the Cardinals. Last 2 weeks, it hasn't been where it needs to be.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out because when you think about 74 passing attempts from Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy, that doesn't sound like a recipe for success. It might even sound like, damn, you were getting blown out in these games and you were trying to throw yourself back in that way, right? So it's just interesting to correlate the fact that there's been this narrative about you need to run the ball 30 times to win. And I do think there's something to that. There is, especially when it comes to time of possession, when it comes to sustaining drives, right? I understand that. But 30 is not some magic number of we ran it 30 times for 1 yard per, and all of a sudden you're going to win the game, right? Like it's more about right now what Kyle Shanahan is looking at, trusting Brock Purdy in this moment, doing what's right now for his offense. And who's to say that it's not really working? I mean, they've won 5 straight games. So I think that's the part that I'm just talking about.
I agree with you. I think it's a bit of an evolving circumstance with the offense. And if they have a quarterback who can manage it and work on it, I think the arrow is going to be continuing to point up. But if the run game can get going, that's where I think the bread and butter is going to be for this team. I think they still want to run first. They still want to be able to control clock and get chunk yardage, make third and manageables much easier than the third and longs that they've been dealing with. Like Brock Purdy found himself in 3rd and 10 and 3rd and 8 in a bunch of different scenarios, and he was able to convert. But what happens when you come up against a team that stops those? Then your offense is kind of stagnant in a sense. So I do think they have to kind of just, and it's crazy because they're on their 3rd string quarterback. It's not like it's Jimmy Garoppolo, who is a starter, right? And you can just be, okay, we can rely. He's going to be able to do everything he needs to do. So it's going to be wild because how does Brock Purdy perform next week with the pressure, with the eyes, with the expectations, with the hype? That's the next question. He performed phenomenally against the Dolphins, all things considered, right? It's how do you stack weeks? Any player can go in and perform good in one play, one series, one game. It's how do you stack those things? And that's the next test for Brock Purdy, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is these next 2 games are going to be very telling. Both teams, you're playing basically either playoff teams or playoff contending teams. Yeah. Feels like the Tampa Bay Bucks are going to be the ones that show up out of the NFC West, or I don't know, out of default, right? Like it feels like they could end up being under 500 and find a way to win in that god-awful division. And then the Seattle Seahawks are not going anywhere. I mean, they just beat the Rams, which that game was a lot closer than I thought it would be, especially with the Rams like C squad. I mean, literally, they were just like running out whoever they could. And then this week, Seattle has Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, and then the 49ers. So there's a way, I think it's Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but it feels like it's a winnable game for Seattle. So I think this is going to be very telling, especially that Thursday night football game. Thursday night football, team might have a 1-game lead. Team might be tied. That place is going to be rocking. That's your litmus test. That's your playoff test before the playoffs. So I think that these next 2 weeks are going to be very telling. But it's hard to not walk away from this game with Brock Purdy and feel encouraged and understand that what he did was impressive. As long as it doesn't cloud your judgment going forward and you start making sweeping statements. Say these words. I was impressed. I was encouraged. I want to see more. Those are the 3 things. Not he's the man. Get rid of this guy. Don't want him. Don't want him back. It's 1 game. Plenty of quarterbacks have come in, lit the world up on fire in 1 game. Next week, done nothing. Not saying that I want that for Brock Purdy. I'm just saying, again, please practice some patience and stay away from the absolutes at this point. We are still evaluating right now. So we're going to find out in these next 2 weeks. Speaking of tall podcasters, I know Brian's not talking.
Shout out, Brian. Oh, man. Well, I think it's safe to say, right? It's not time to pay Brock Purdy 9 years, $360 million, right? We're not there yet, right? But if he has another good game against the Bucks, it's going to be phenomenal to see where things go. So because we are a podcast and we talk and we use hypotheticals and all that type of stuff, hypothetically, let's say Brock Purdy comes out, performs better against the Bucks and cleans up some of the mistakes that he had. And you still see that zip, the reads, throwing under pressure, escaping, all that stuff.
He's going to be facing a top 10 pass defense.
Yes,
this week.
But he cleans it up. And he's still able to captivate not only the fan base, but the team in general. Could you see the San Francisco 49ers with the number 1 ranked defense? Special teams are playing well. Are the Super Bowl dreams and hopes and aspirations still alive, or is it going to be a game by game basis from here on out?
I think, again, if I was preaching this patience with a quarterback that I believe is better in Jimmy Garoppolo, talking about in week 11, let's not make any grand statements about where they can go.
You said that.
I think it's going to be a game by game basis. At the end of the season in week 17, we will find out where this team lays. We will have an entire season of information. We will have an entire season of information on every single playoff team. And we will truly know where they are health-wise, talent-wise, playing. And then that's when you say, this is where they're going. Can it happen? Of course. Anything can happen, Brad. I'm not taking – when we talk about the realm of possibilities, it's in there. What's the likelihood is the better question. The likelihood. Now, look.
The percentage chance.
Right. I understand we're all 49ers fans. I would love to see it. Odds are the last pick in the draft isn't going to be able to lift a team like this, even if they are so well coached and they are well-rounded. That doesn't mean it can't happen. So I think at this point, we need to see a little bit more. Let's collect some more information. Let's reconvene in week 17 when we find out who's going to be available for this team in week 17, not quarterback. I'm talking about health-wise. Nobody else gets injured on the defensive side. Other teams, do you have a big injury? Do you have a guy that's going to cause you to not look good? Is this team going to be in your way? It would be foolish right now to still at this point. And I think the reason that I preach patience is because I'm trying to stop from having something blow up in my face in terms of prediction. And I think that's a good approach.
You're calculated. That's what it is. Yeah, you're not flying off the cuff, basically.
Right. I think that's a good approach. I think that if you can put off predictions for as long as you can and gather as much information as you can, you probably will come to the more logical response. Right. If you want to just go off the handle today and say, you know what, Super Bowl, book it. See you in Glendale. It's getting good. I love that for you, and I think that's cool. But what happens?
I love that for you. That's phenomenal. But we're gonna take it.
Couldn't be me. Not just yet.
Game by game.
I know that's boring. I know you guys watch to be entertained. I know that's boring. But I am not ready to make any grand sweeping statements now that the 49ers are on their third starting quarterback in the same season. I think what you should be encouraged with is this, Brad. The fact that the 49ers are on their third string quarterback, and we can even have this discussion. Because most of the time, when people lose their first quarterback, their season's out the window, let alone the backup. So I think that's it. So I think right now, the fact that we can even have this conversation should encourage you. Because if any other team lost 2 quarterbacks, they're cooked. They're fried. Yeah. And they wouldn't even be able to discuss that. You would say, throw them out the window. But the fact that you can, I think that's encouraging.
Absolutely. And I think most teams dress 2 quarterbacks. So if you're on your third string quarterback, you're pulling off your practice squad, like a guy that any team can have. And if any team can have him, he's probably not that good. So there's a reason why the 49ers, I guess they went into this year with 3 quarterbacks. It was a late situation, but I think when we were doing our roster predictions and things like that, I think we assumed they would keep 2, but of course, Jimmy Garoppolo came back into the mix.
We also assumed Garoppolo wasn't going to be here. One big lesson from this offseason. I'm done with predictions. Don't ask me what's going to happen. I have no idea. I'm just going with the
100%. That's why when the schedule comes out, I hate schedule predictions. Like, I'll do it because that's what we do. I hate them. I don't like them because week to week the NFL changes so much, and as we've seen, one injury changes everything. It changes the complexion of a team. So that's why I hate doing, but we're in the content game, so I'll entertain it, but I don't like them, to be perfectly honest. So we've spent a lot of time talking about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is the hot button topic right now at the San Francisco 49ers, and rightfully so. Crazy things have gone on with this team since week 1, since preseason week 1, since the draft.
Since 2 years ago, since
2021, since I met you in Mobile, Alabama,
since Colin Kaepernick was here, like everything. It's all the time. The 49ers, they're not. This is what I want to say. They are not the off the field circus like other teams are in the bad way. Their on the field stuff is a circus, meaning not that it's like out of control, but it's just nonstop, and there's always something. It's not like they're out of control. Like teams have out of control problems off the field. That's not
it's
what
not
the 49ers are.
It's not like Brown shenanigans, Texans shenanigans,
right,
and things like that. It's
right.
just like it's football shenanigans.
Yeah. And
cheeky shenanigans.
Somebody, I swear to God, I'll pistol whip Brad if he says shenanigans one more time.
I am a fan of any type of Super Trooper reference. We're gonna get we'll get Glock Purdy to do all the pistol whipping around here. So
damn, that was good. That was good. That was off the cuff too.
It was, and that's rare because not a lot comes off the cuff. But it's gonna be a wild ride. I'll say this to kind of wrap up the Brock Purdy because we got a defense to talk about, but let's wrap up Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. I'm very intrigued and optimistic. Now, what does that mean in the long run? Does that mean they're going to be a Super Bowl team? I'm with you, Jason. I'm not going to say that either. I'll let the Kurt Warners of the world who's out there saying that right now. That's fine. He's got the cachet to say he's won Super Bowls. If he wants to say the 49ers are still absolutely a Super Bowl team with Brock Purdy, go for it. I do see the realm of possibility where it can happen, but I'm with you. We got to go week to week, and we got to see how he stacks this performance. We got to see the consistency behind it. Now, everything we're hearing about Brock Purdy from a football character standpoint is he's elite, kind of like Jimmy. Look, they talk about he's a leader, and again, we talked about that comment from Trent Williams earlier. Fred Warner saying very similar things. They clearly like this guy a lot. So I think he has the mentality to be able to handle it, not only handle it, but improve. So if he can improve week to week to week, the 49ers are still in a good spot. They're still going to be able to win games, right? So we're not going to crown him just yet.
No, but it looks good.
It's phenomenal. He's got the nickname. He's trending on Twitter. Everyone is loving Brock Purdy right now.
Even the touchdown, the let's go, like the way he's it's just
hyped.
Yeah, I love it. That's good.
He's got some juice. So, and that's what you want to see. I don't think Nick Mullens really had that juice like that. So I think that could be a bit of a difference because those two are being compared, right?
What do you think? Nick Mullens scores a touchdown. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. I know. Slap hands. Hey, great job, George. Great job, George. And George is like hype, like trying to bash him in the head with his helmet. Thanks, guys.
He's like, oh, don't hit me. No, yeah, I think Brock Purdy got that. I think he got that dog in him. So, and I think that's where Nick Mullens was lacking a little bit. So, I'm very optimistic. He showed me enough. Now let's see how he stacks it, and I'm looking forward to it. We got a couple super chats, so let's get to those. Joshua says, Jason brings the hype. 20 minutes in, I've overdosed.
And you didn't even get here for me hyping up Aaron Judge, man. Like, no, I'm just kidding. Shout out to you, Josh. Appreciate you, bro.
That's hilarious. We got one more. Kenneth says, great content, Brad. If Brock Purdy wins the chip, could you imagine how much money the NFL would make? It's a perfect Cinderella story. I mean, honestly, I'm not worried about the NFL making money. They make money hand over fist. They're printing money at this point. It would just be another cherry on top. I think it would mean more for the 49ers than anything else, but appreciate the kind words, Kenneth, and shout out to all the Sourdough Squad and the Spicy Squad for continuing to tap in. And we spent, like we talked about, we're about 40 minutes in, been talking a lot of Brock Purdy. But let's flip over to the other side. Nick Bosa, 3 sacks, forced strip sack, fumble, scoop and score, Dre Greenlaw touchdown, Jimmy Ward interception, Fred Warner interception, Eric Armstead returns. Dre Greenlaw is playing really well. What do you think about this defense right now?
Dre Greenlaw is playing very well. What I want to start this conversation with real quick. Hi, Everly. What happened? Okay. Energy. Okay. She wants me to bring more energy.
I'm getting coached up midstream.
I want to start this with a returning face. Yeah, Demo got the interception. I think it was an interception
as well.
I want to start this. Hey, really, give me a sec. Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead had 0 tackles, 0 tackle for losses, 0 quarterback hits, 0 interceptions, 0 batted down balls, anything like that. Okay.
No stats. Literally no stats to find. So he had a bad game, right, Jason?
Oh my God. I mean, a terrible game. Cut him. Get rid of him. I wish we kept DeForest Buckner.
How dare they give him the captain's patch? How does that guy have a captain's patch? He had 0 stats.
How can you play in this game and have 0 stats? Oh, wait. Watch the game. He's taking 2 and 3 linemen with him so Nick Bosa can come around and run free to the quarterback. That drive in which Jimmy Ward got the interception was an Eric Armstead masterclass. Don't let your friends bring up stats when they're talking about Eric Armstead. Please tell them in your Rich Madrid voice, I don't give a shit, man. Watch the tape.
Christ,
Watch
man.
the film.
We're talking about numbers, man.
Watch the film. It's so crazy to me how there's this narrative around, you should have kept this guy, look at his numbers and this and that and this and that. Eric Armstead was absolutely electric down the stretch last year. His impact was not felt in the stat sheet because there are no stats for taking 2 linemen to the ground with you so Nick Bosa can have a straight path to the quarterback. My thing is this. Why did so many people push back and say, we don't need Eric Armstead? It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. And most of the time, it is rooted in, look at his stats.
Right.
I don't understand it. So I want to give Eric Armstead his flowers. And I want to make sure that we get rid of this narrative about, well, he has 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Sounds to me that's the amount of time you watch this game now. And with limited snaps. With limited snaps, by the way. Was being managed the entire time. Didn't have to play, right? Now he's going to have to play a little bit more. Unfortunately, Hassan Ridgeway got hurt in this game, and he's been balling.
Underrated.
Underrated for sure. I mean, just because if you want to get paid, come over, be a defensive lineman, come to death row. Chris Kosurik is gonna help you. If you don't want your defensive line coach not coaching you up, yelling in your ear, come to death row and you can get paid. Ask Arden Key. So, really, be quiet. So, this is what I wanted to say about Eric Armstead. It's just don't let the people who talk crazy about him talk about stats because then you showed me you didn't watch the game. So, I was happy to have him back. Nick Bosa is the defensive player of the year. I don't want to hear this. Emmanuel Acho, I know you don't watch this, and I know I've been talking to you a little bit, right? On
Jason, his effort.
His effort,
Jason.
Emmanuel Acho.
Let me go back to pull one play. Look at his effort.
Emmanuel Acho is a very eloquent speaking man. I think that he is the king of word salads and saying things that sound smart while because it's put together well, but you're not saying anything. It's a word salad. So he shows 2 clips on Twitter. I implore you guys to go take a look. Averly, go in your room. Go in your room. So he talks about effort in a play where who's faster, Brad? Micah Parsons or Nick Bosa?
Micah Parsons.
Oh, okay. That's pretty easy to say, right? That's okay. He shows
beat,
a play.
I think Tyreek Hill in a straight line race like this offseason or something like that.
Okay. So a screen pass happens. He shows a play in which Micah Parsons turns around, runs down the guy before the first down against the Detroit Lions, by the way. Way to cherry pick that one against a really high-powered, roster, Okay. And then he shows the 3rd and 20 against the Kansas City Chiefs with Jerick McKinnon, in which there was a screen pass that was thrown over his head. Nick Bosa's on his giddy up. He's just not fast.
He's not straight line fast.
And then Micah Parsons thinks he's Rich Madrid, telling everybody you can tell who looks at the stats and you can tell who watches the tape. You know what I watched? The defensive player of the month become the defensive player of the week after he was named the defensive player of the month. Now, why is that? Why would the NFL do that, Brad?
I don't know. And also for a player that the NFL doesn't talk about a whole lot. They really don't. They love Micah Parsons. He's
great
all the time.
He's great. He's great. That's the other thing, is you can say that Nick Bosa deserves defensive player of the year over Micah Parsons, but that doesn't mean Micah Parsons stinks.
Good. Yeah, he's
right.
really good.
Very good. And if someone does win it over Nick Bosa and it's Micah Parsons, yeah, I'll be mad, but I won't say it's completely egregious. It's not like they'll just say, oh, Myles Garrett won it. Micah Parsons has been balling. He's been incredible. So there's nothing wrong with that. My problem is that you've got national analysts who point out 2 points on film. And if this was some random person on Twitter, man, 49ers Twitter would have eviscerated him. And they're cooking him, but he's like a big guy. My point is, it's like, for somebody who played the game, for somebody who comes off smart, it's not really smart. Not really smart. And it's just like, damn, man, that was the worst example you could have used. Especially when Bosa's missed a game in 3 quarters and he's clearing these pass rushing numbers from everybody else. Just only strengthens Bosa's case. So now, Eric Armstead's back. Bosa's going to cook a little bit more. I think he's really just about to put this thing away in these next few weeks, honestly. So there's my rant.
Yeah, and no, to kind of pile on to it a little bit, the Acho thing, he was just trying to make himself be right by pulling 2 clips. Like, we can all pull 2 clips. Like, anyone can do that. Like that. And to hang his hat on the effort, Nick Bosa is probably one of the most relentless pass rushers we've seen in the league. Like, he's up there with any of these other elite pass rushers who just have a motor. So it was a really interesting back and forth and a double down by him. And again, to your point, tip your cap to Micah Parsons. He's playing phenomenally. He is an extremely rare physical traits, and he knows how to use them, and the defense puts him in position to make plays, and he makes plays. So it's a great debate, I think. I don't think it's, clear cut one way or the other. I think you can find cases for both. But I also think Nick Bosa is just doing a lot with being a pure defensive end who puts his hand in the dirt, only plays in the defensive line, has had no Eric Armstead. And we understand, go back to the days of Aldon Smith and Justin Smith. When Aldon Smith came in as a rookie and had 14.5 sacks, the same conversation with Eric Armstead that we just had. Justin Smith and their freaking stunt game was impeccable. And just like we saw with Eric Armstead collapsing the entire offensive line to allow Nick Bosa to loop around and get that sack, there should be some kind of notation where you could be like, assist by Eric Armstead. Like, that sack doesn't occur without Eric doing that. And again, that interception to Jimmy Ward doesn't happen without Eric Armstead with one arm wrapped around Tua, and Tua's falling to the ground as he just throws up a prayer, and Jimmy Ward goes up and snags it. So you can have these conversations, right? But the conversation that you can't make is that he lacks effort. Like, it's ridiculous. And to go and cherry pick a screen, like, what are we talking about here? So it's a wild situation, but hey, we know what it is. We know how the media folks roll.
Get them clicks. If you want to get blocked by him, point out that the ratings on that show that he's on, which should be through the roof because Joy Taylor's on there, are just like bottom of the barrel. Joy Taylor's one of the smartest analysts.
I see what you did there.
No, Joy Taylor's one of the smartest analysts out there, and she is someone who is very entertaining. I didn't mean it in that way, but
I hear you.
She's the star of the show on that show. Shady McCoy is another one who just says some crazy things,
talks to talk.
Yeah, he just says some crazy stuff. And the other guy, I'm not really familiar with his game. Maybe I'll apologize to him. That's another meme. But yeah, I think that it's unfair for people to, again, we always talk about this, Brad. Do you want to get it right or do you want to be right? Right. So I didn't have many good things to say about Brock Purdy. That doesn't mean I want to see the man fail just because I saw what I saw. Objectively, what I saw in camp was what I saw in camp. Objectively, what I saw this week was this week. That doesn't mean this correlates to me wanting him to fail. So that's the thing.
And I'll say this about you, Jason. We've been talking long enough that you have strong opinions and you have hot takes, or not even hot takes, spicy. We call them spicy takes. We call you Spicy Aponte for a reason. But as soon as you're provided with the information or something, you are not going to be an Emmanuel Acho and dig your feet into the ground to be like, this was my take. I stand, you're like, all right, we've gotten more information and I'm willing to kind of flow with it, right?
This is a perfect transition into the first thing that you asked me, which I got away from because I just wanted to talk about Eric Armstead. I have an apology. Look me in the camera. Yes, an official apology. Look me in the camera. Dre Greenlaw, I am sorry. I had concerns. I had, things that I saw that concerned me. I thought you played overly aggressive. I thought sometimes you ran out of your run gaps. All that's gone. You are playing the best football of your life right now.
Yeah.
And you are an invaluable member to this. The biggest play in this game for me, one of them, was there was a quick screen to Tyreek Hill at the line of scrimmage, which it was a 2-yard gain is all he needed to get the first down. He catches the ball and he's got nothing but green grass in front of him. Or does he? Dre Greenlaw gets over there and stuffs him for a 1 yard. It's not a loss. It's a 1 yard gain. It should have been easy 2 and more when it's Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is being guarded by Dre Greenlaw going down the sideline. And Dre Greenlaw is evolving. He picked up Tyreek Hill, was about to body slam him, and realized it was better. Dre Greenlaw, you are balling. I am sorry. I apologize. Keep hooping. Still love Aziz, but keep balling. This man has been playing out of his mind. And this is the best part about this, Brad. Every week we're going to talk about this defense because it's getting close to like this generational talk, right?
Right.
But every week we can pick someone else. One week it could be Mooney. One week it could be Fred. Every week it's Nick Bosa. One week it could be Hufanga. One week it could be Greenlaw. Like, this is the level of this defense that is missing a cornerback too. And shout out to Demo Lenore, who played his ass off in this game. I felt like he did everything right in this game. I thought he was going to be the one that Miami tested a bunch in this game. He played his ass off. This defense, if anyone had questions, if you were worried about how this defense could do against a high-powered offense, all of those questions are now erased. I do want to say this, though, real quick, and I want to get your take on this, Brad. I'm going to pass it back to you. In the first half, I was a little nervous because guys were running wide open and Tua was airmailing the ball. Like, missing wide open guys. That didn't necessarily have much to do with defense. What I will say conversely to that is the 2 touchdowns that the Miami Dolphins scored, I feel, were more on the defense than what the offense did. Meaning, the Trent Sherfield touchdown, Tashawn Gibson took a poor angle, and you got beat. Sherfield beat you to the spot, and he took it to the crib. And the touchdowns to Tyreek Hill, Hufanga bit a little bit, and he even talked about it. What did he say? I took the cheese, but I need to be lactose intolerant. That was his quote on the podcast. Yes, he did. He did.
That's a bar right there.
So he moves up a little bit. Tyreek Hill gets behind him, touchdown. So even when the 49ers gave up points in this game, they gave them up on their own accord. I really can't say that the best drive that the Miami Dolphins had was the drive that ended on that Gesicki play. That was when they were moving the ball. But that's how good this defense is. What do you think about the first half, though? Because I felt like Tua missed some wide open throws.
Yeah, I definitely think there were some opportunities there for Tua to take advantage of. I don't know if he had one eye on Nick Bosa or whatever it was, but he I haven't watched a lot of Tua this year. I've watched enough to be like he's been playing some pretty good ball, and I think we talked about it the week before, but definitely he didn't look like the Tua that we had seen, who was undefeated when starting games and playing all of them against that team. And it started out like with that Trent Sherfield first play from scrimmage. Like, I was like, oh God, like this is going to be a long ass game. Like, I couldn't believe Trent Sherfield went 75 yards just outrunning everyone. And I'm like, oh, Hufanga's got the angle. He's going to get him. Oh no, he's not going to get him. He's not going to. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, so and then the other one to Tyreek Hill, it wasn't anything crazy. He got an angle. He got the ball, and it was yards after catch. He just took the angle, and he was gone. So
the Hill one, wasn't it a little bit of a deeper shot? Because if I remember, it's Hufanga. Hufanga jumps the over route, and it just leaves the back end open. And Mooney was expecting him to be there, so the ball was just put where like that. If I'm not mistaken, that was
no. I think you're right. I haven't watched the defensive tape yet, so I don't have it burned into my brain.
I just so it's like right in my mind.
I just remember what I saw at the stadium. So
the Sherfield one was the slant
shot.
Yeah, and then the Hill one, this is what Hufanga said on Sherm's podcast about taking the cheese and I need to be lactose intolerant is he jumps the over, being aggressive because he thinks that's where the ball's going, and Tua sees Hill. Mooney's backed up because he believes that Hufanga's going to be over there in the middle, and you throw it up, and Hill's right there by himself. Like, Hill's a game changer, man. So, I mean, again, when you look back at the defensive tape, you're looking at, sure, Tua missed some throws in this game. I'm definitely going to say that. When I watched it again, I'm like, Jesus, that guy's wide open. Like, what happened? Like, and then those 2 touchdowns, I'm like, well, if the 49ers clean that up here and there, they knock that off. So, it goes both ways. And I think that there should be a large discussion about in the second half them clamping down again, even though they gave up the touchdown in the fourth quarter to finally break the streak. But in the first half, I felt like the defense was kind of just treading water to see what they would do. And if Tua converts a few more of those, who knows how this game goes. So that's all I'm going to say.
Is that kind of what I saw a tweet from Chris Sims? Is that kind of like what he was alluding
What he was
to?
saying.
He was like,
yeah. But
if Tua played better,
yeah,
it would have been a different situation.
Yeah. It's what I disagree with is he said exposed. I don't think exposed is the right word. I think what you were looking at was opportunities. Mike McDaniel had guys wide open. They came out with a good plan in the beginning with the script. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. It's just, unfortunately, Tua was missing. How much of that has to do with being worried about pressure? How much of that has to do with the fact he pointed out, well, they're missing 2 tackles, or I think that was Dan Orlovsky. They were missing 2 tackles, but they weren't getting pressure in the beginning of that game. They weren't. The throws were there. So I don't know about exposed. I think that was the way he worded that tweet was really weird. The defense was exposed. No, it wasn't. There were plays to be made. But again, D'Amico would have made adjustments on that. And I think he did in the second half because those guys weren't nearly as open aside from that 1 touchdown that I spoke about.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I haven't watched the defensive tape yet. So I'm going off memory from what I saw, which again is always a little sketchy. But it did feel like Tua was missing. There were more opportunities to be had. Kenneth says, one last super chat, Brad. Defensive player of the year is Nicky Saccaroni. Acho smoking that Skip Bayless pack, and he hit us with the little pump fake because he hit us with another super chat. It says Nick Bosa is the definition of effort, and I think we all agree. And trying to keep also one eye looking ahead, the GOAT comes into town. This is the 3rd straight game at home for the San Francisco 49ers. We saw on prime time look like the Bucs were cooked. And then Tom Brady comes back and scores 2 touchdowns in 3 minutes or whatever it was. Are you worried about the defense? Because you have a much better feel for the defense right now than I do, especially how they played against the Dolphins. Do you think there are concerns, or do you think there's areas to improve upon?
Stylistically, I don't get as nervous with the matchups because of Hill and Waddle. Even though Waddle was injured in this game, Tyreek Hill was a menace in this game. I mean, he is just such a difference maker. I don't know what else to say, and it has nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes. It is Tyreek Hill. He is a game changer. I love Mike Evans. I love Chris Godwin. They have no semblance of real running game right now. Their running game is essentially Tom Brady getting the ball out fast to Rachaad White.
Yeah.
That kind of plays into the 49ers' strength. Rally to the ball, wrap up and tackle. They don't have guys that they can really get the ball downfield to. On the other hand, I would be foolish to sit here and just be like, the GOAT's cooked. I'm like, that's it. They're not going to do anything. Right. That's 2 things I've learned. Stop making predictions about the 49ers in the offseason. Never bet against the GOAT. Never bet against the GOAT, man. Yep. Never bet against the GOAT. So if we talk about styles make fights, personnel-wise, Mike Evans is a baller, so is Chris Godwin. But those guys are, Mike Evans is a little bit more downfield, but more at the catch point, not exactly separation, won't exactly burn you unless you have a coverage bust and a red zone guy. Chris Godwin is a intermediate guru, right? Like the way he runs his routes are incredible, man. And Brady puts that thing on him.
Yep.
But they're not Hill and Waddle, right? Like that speed, right? And that offense has been largely stagnant. Byron Leftwich isn't the guy that Mike McDaniel is, because Mike McDaniel really started cooking in the fourth quarter when he started putting Tyreek Hill in motion. That was putting the 49ers defenders in hell. Moving him from one side with the fast motion and then getting him a running start off the edge on the snap, like that's the stuff that the Bucs can't do. And if you're not running the ball and you make yourself completely one-dimensional, it's going to be in the 49ers' hands to take care of business. But again, I am not going to sit here and say, I'm going to pick the 49ers to win this game, right? Homer all day when it comes to that. But right. I'm not about to sit here and say that team is cooked on the other side as long as
it's not a layup, right?
Right. No, it's not. And it's not a layup. And that's the thing is Brady's going to find a way to get the offense going, right? Like, he knows how to get the ball out fast. He's great pre-snap. K. Dotton is somebody who's been getting a little bit of run, in the red zone as tight end. I like him a lot, actually. So he's going to help find ways to combat either the pass rush, something that they're doing in the defensive backfield. But the 49ers still should handle business because this team doesn't pose the same problems personnel-wise, aside from quarterback, that the Miami Dolphins did last week.
Do you think the 49ers run game gets up to speed against this team? I know they got Vita Vea in the middle. That's a really tough ask, especially, I think Jake Brendel's been playing pretty well, decently well. I think a lot better than I would have anticipated, but let's not pretend like Vita Vea is a easy person to move. He is a massive athlete. And I say athlete because he might be thick in the waist, but that boy can move. And they got two linebackers right behind him that can move as well. They've got players in the secondary. So this is still a tough test for a Brock Purdy led offense, right?
It is. Top 10 pass defense. Rush defense hasn't been there, which is actually weird because the Bucs have been pretty good against the run usually, especially with Levante David and those guys. I want to say this. Run Jordan Mason more, man. Just turn McCaffrey into a receiving back at this point, somebody that you can use at the bottom at this point. It's just clear to me at this point that Mason, for whatever reason, is running harder, finds the hole quicker, is getting downhill faster. And McCaffrey has been making his bones with the option routes, the checkdowns,
screen game.
Right, getting lined up against linebackers. I understand you don't want to, work Mason until he's hurt, but it's got to be time to get him the ball more, especially how hard he's running at this point while you're trying to preserve Christian McCaffrey, while you're trying to have Christian McCaffrey on the field as a weapon. So, yes.
I think they should both be on the field at the same time. And remember, we saw Jordan Mason in training camp. That dude can catch. He's got hands.
Yes,
you can put him out in a route concept.
So you have Mason in the backfield. You run on McCaffrey fast motion. Get him a running start against some of these linebackers. Give Brock Purdy an outlet if things are not looking good down the field. It's all right there for them. Now, look, I'm not going to say that I'm better at this than Kyle because I'm not. I'm not better than anybody at this or whatever.
That's exactly what you're saying, Jason.
Oh, shut up, man. But my thing is like, damn. It's about like trying to use your personnel to the best spot. I love the Ramilia Sports Report being here and talking about why this isn't the year. 3-9 Baker Mayfield. Is that Baker Mayfield's music? Stop coming in here and talking, bro. You're cooked. Hit the button. Hit the button. Hit the button.
Ejectocito, cuz. Pop him out.
3-9 in here talking about Kyle Shanahan in the season. Sean McVay about to retire. Aaron Donald's cooked. Matthew Stafford taking his ball and going home. Get out of here. Get him out of here.
Oh my gosh, it's so freaking good. So again, the matchup against the Bucs, still would you say it's a plus matchup for the 49ers? Like, do you think I think we did percentage last week. I think you said 60-40. Where are you at with this game against the Bucs?
55-45. Just because it's Tom Brady. I think this team right now is better than them, but I'm never going to count out Tom Brady. I'm just not. And what scares me more is, does that win become a springboard win for them?
Right.
Like,
builds the confidence.
Now do they, like, all of a sudden, like, the light went on and Brady starts to get that look in his eye.
And they're playing for playoff hopes too. And
right.
They got a lot to play for still.
And don't discount the fact that Brady's petty, wants to come in here and beat the 49ers, knows that there's talk about you don't think that Tom Brady looked at the line and saw a 3.5-point underdog to Brock Purdy, who was 3 years old when you made your first start? You don't think Tom Brady took that and put it up on the wall and is like furiously staring at that? That scares me. That scares me a lot. That scares me a lot because there's something about him when he's pressed, when he feels disrespected, like Michael Jordan, and I took that as disrespect. That's why he's the GOAT. It's about, is this now them figuring it out? Is Tom Brady angry? Is it angry Tom, like Kobe when he used to activate that face? Like, is it that? So it's like, damn, I'm scared that even just the line opening up 3.5 underdogs while there's a rookie quarterback starting across from him has got him furiously angry. And he's like listening to Eye of the Tiger doing one-arm push-ups in his room. Like, I'm scared of that.
Oh man, yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think, and again, who knows? Like, we can wax poetic on BCB all day long, but we got to see how he stacks up in his first career NFL start. He hasn't started yet, so we got to figure it out.
I want me to get crazy again, but it's just that one Rams guy, bro. I don't understand, man. Like, it's just the Rams, the Rams people in here, like, well, Kyle Shanahan's not going to get it done. Well, Sean McVay's not getting it done. And he's going to retire next year. So and his own players are hitting him.
That's what I was going to say quickly. Do you buy the hype that they're about to dismantle that basically entire coaching staff and kind of reset it? Because I saw one of their coaches is going to be go to college, like already hired somewhere else. Like, feels like they're shutting down all the superstars. Do you feel like McVay's out?
I think McVay, it's a very strong possibility that Sean McVay retires or steps away from the game to go into the TV booth for a little bit. To get away from
he's done with coaching?
I think he's done coaching the Rams.
Fascinating.
I think he's done coaching the Rams.
Why do you think that is?
Because
is something going on that I just have not been paying attention to?
They won their Super Bowl. They're going to be back to square one. They have no picks. They are going to like literally be from the ground up, and Sean McVay is going to have to be a part of that. He got his ring. They went all in. He's going to go away for a little while.
He's going to do the Sean Payton thing.
Exactly. He doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. And this was always my theory too about this. Was like, everybody's like, oh, well, they're just going all in. Why would Sean McVay care about first-round picks that won't be there 3 years down the line if he's not going to be there 3 years down the line?
True.
So that's just where I'm at. I'm just speculating. I'm just putting my tinfoil hat on. That's it.
It's kind of like how I'm handling my dynasty squads now. I'm selling everything, all my future picks to get. I need to get in. I need to win it all. So, I guess, but I'm still going to be around though, no matter what. So we'll see. But either way, Rams are cooked. There's no coming back for them. Cardinals.
Done.
Probably not coming back.
Done. I want to see what Hard Knocks has to do with the bye week this week. I can't wait to watch. And I mean, one thing I'll say for the Cardinals is they can't lose this week. Do
you think Cliff is done in AZ?
I think that's the most intriguing part. And that's why I'm going to continue to watch Hard Knocks. The Cardinals are in this weird place. You've got Keim, Cliff, and Kyler, who all signed extensions at the right time. But it's clear, that's what I see, that someone needs to go. Who's that going to be? And that's going to be that's the only thing that's intriguing you about them right now. And to see if DeAndre Hopkins can continue getting 300 receptions in each game.
I need it.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people do. But I think that's interesting right now. I think that they're at a place where I do think that Kyler's not going to go. I don't think you get rid of the quarterback, even though you
paid him a lot.
And he's been saying some crazy things. He's been saying some things that are very concerning.
Like Cliff, he wants out.
Right. Cliff, when you watch Hard Knocks, is like saying generic coach speak over and over and over. Like, well, all right, we got to stick together. We got to keep going. We got to do it, and it's like, all right, bro, you've been saying that for 5 weeks. You've been getting your ass kicked every week, man. It's like, does the locker room still believe that? And then Keim, who put this roster together, right? You trade for Hollywood Brown. He's injured. J.J. Watt's been very good lately. I don't know what he's done to like rejuvenate his game. Hopkins has been good, but the offensive line's bad. And you're missing in the secondary aside from like Budda Baker, right? Like, and it's just, there's got to be a change. I just am intrigued to figure out who it is.
Yeah, so the NFC West is in a weird spot, but those Seattle Seahawks are also right around the corner. So we got a really interesting slate, and we're on the home stretch, dude. It's wild to think that there are 5 games left in the season, and they're going to fly by. Isn't that crazy? Like, it felt like just yesterday we were in this quarterback purgatory of what's Jimmy gonna do? Are they gonna trade him? Are they gonna cut him? And he gets hurt after re-emerging and having this resurgence in his career. and now it's Brock Purdy. It's been a wild ride. I think the state of the franchise episode at the end of the year, probably once the playoffs are done, where we do a nice little recap, is going to be a fire episode because the twists and turns this year have been, you can't even script that type of stuff, man.
With the way that this year is going, by the time this season concludes in whatever fashion that it is, I could imagine me getting on this show to do this final state of the franchise for the season, looking completely disheveled, bags under my eyes, a ripped shirt, just completely in shambles because of what this team has been doing and the fighting that has been going on. This team is taking years off my life, man. Like, but I'm just like, all right, man. Whatever the result is, well, they didn't get it done in this game, but I'm gonna be completely like wiped, man, at this point. But I know you and I, we talk sometimes and we joke, right? Like sometimes I get frustrated because I have a bozo saying something crazy to me on the internet, and like it's taking everything in me to not respond, or I'm going back and forth. And you and I text when you do answer. I'll be like, yo, what team do you think I should go cover from now on? Like, do you know anybody that could hook me up? Honestly, man, that's all out of anger and frustration. I don't want to cover any team but this team, man. Any team but this team.
You're not going anywhere even if you wanted to. We would make sure that
I'm not fucking leaving.
100%. You're not going anywhere. And Hedrick says throwback, bro. The first, so we do, draft season comes around, we do live mock drafts. The first live mock draft we did on my channel was when that report came out that the Redskins were willing to trade a first for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
The first mock draft we did, we took Tyler Linderbaum at pick 11. That's where we started this year. Like we're like, oh, Jimmy's gonna get traded. Then we go to the combine. We're like, oh yeah, that's everything we're hearing, right? Jimmy's gonna get traded. Is it gonna be the Colts? Who's it gonna be? And then all of a sudden, surgery. Oh, dude, it's gonna be
the comments. Somebody said I'm gonna look like the second act of Castaway by the end. Jason in January, February. Thank God it's quiet now. Now I'm asleep and it's time to go to Mobile. 49ers Civil War
face pain. You can just call me Wilson.
Dude, 49ers Civil War is still raging. Buffalo is Jason's new team. Ariel, I am not leaving this team, man. Let's see. Did Deontay Johnson? Is it Deontay Johnson or Dante Johnson of Niners Media? I'm not leaving. Yeah, I think that's what he meant. I'm not leaving. Like I'm never gonna be there. So, yeah. No, look. Again, there's never a time where things. There's a time where things are more quiet. They're just never really slow with the 49ers, if that makes sense. And right now,
and we already know this offseason is going to be chalked. Whether it's going to be, we don't need to get into the storylines, but you and I know what the storylines will be.
Run it back. You know the big one. Run it back. Bring Jimmy back. Yep. Lance isn't ready. Run it back. God.
Trade Lance. Bring Jimmy back. Oh wait, Brock Purdy, quarterback one. You don't need either of them. Trade both. Get rid of both. Like,
Matt Ryan's available. Why not bring him in? Or like it's just oh God. Oh my God.
Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my God. I think
get ready. Get ready, people.
I think I'm gonna go back to like in April and stuff. Like after we get back from the combine, I don't know if I'm gonna go to the draft in Kansas City because it's just that doesn't sound fun. Especially the 49ers have like no picks for the first day or whatever. I think I'm just gonna start getting into baseball content separately, somewhere differently, just to get my mind off everything. I can't do another off season.
Make sure you follow Jason Aponte for the best New York Yankees content around. It's coming soon. We're tipping our hand now.
You tell Jim Everett to get out of here too. Never Rams gear. Never, ever. I will say this. The only real Rams gear that was kind of fire was the St. Louis with Marshall Faulk. And that was only because Nelly was wearing the backwards jerseys and everything, and that like kind of made it cool and shit.
Hey, what is it? Greatest Show on Turf.
Yeah,
I messed with those teams. Torrey Holt, Kurt Warner,
Torrey Holt, Asakeem.
Yeah, they were good. You got to give them credit where credit's due. But anyway,
I got to feed Averly.
Yeah, we got to get off here.
She's frying my ass in the background.
she's straight up just dead straight through your soul. Feed me.
You're a parent, so I can bounce this off you real quick. And this is we don't have to end it like on this. I'm not trying to take control, but I was lucky enough to get a PlayStation 5 finally with God of War Ragnarok. Incredible game.
How the hell do you get a PlayStation 5?
Incredible game. Finally, Walmart had it on Black Friday. I pulled the trigger and got it, okay? So you would think after, I turn it on, I want to play God of War. During the pandemic, I bought a Snoopy game because everybody loves Peanuts during the pandemic for my PS4. It's a game from 2015, and it's around the Peanuts movie. And I thought that it would be cool to like play, have everybody like maybe engage and okay. Mm-hmm. She makes me beat this game on PlayStation 4. And then when I hook up my PlayStation 5, I take my external hard drive and I pop it in, and it's on the external hard drive, and she sees the icon. Dude, I am being bullied by a short, hungry belly. She play Snoopy game. I want to play God of War. No God of War. Unbelievable, dude. I'm a grown man. And I am under a dictatorship.
So the spicy doesn't fall too far from the tree is what you're saying.
She's cooking my ass on the daily, dog. Cooking me. You saw her just pull up right now, hungry, during a show, and I'm telling her, go back in the room.
She does not care.
I am turning on my state-of-the-art PlayStation 5 to play a Snoopy PS4 2015 game. This is a travesty. I want my money back. I don't even want this thing anymore, man. It's terrible.
That's hilarious. Shout out Averly. What a legend. That's a phenomenal story, and I think that's a great way to end it. So you go enjoy your Snoopy time over there with the new shiny PS5.
No, I'm gonna tell her. I'm like, yo, can I watch the 49ers film? She'll be like, no film. I'm like, damn it, man. Oh God.
That's hilarious. But again, shout out to everyone as always who's jumping on, vibing with us on Wednesdays for State of the Franchise. You already know that's Jason. Where can they find more of your content, my boy?
Yeah, Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter. Make sure you like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell on both sides. Niners Nation, 5-6 days a week. You can catch my work on there. Niners Nation Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts. New Bully Ball with Steph Sanchez just came out. That was a phenomenal episode, one of the best that we put up there. Steph is a legend and a celebrity. She's just like on KTVU doing in studio.
She's doing in-person news. She's killing it, man. She's been killing it since the offseason, bro.
Yeah, man.
She's out there in Minnesota. Like, dude, she's everywhere.
Shout out to Steph. Shout out to women in sports. Always support that. And just I'm gonna take tomorrow off. Sounds like a perfect day to finish off Snoopy's Great Adventure, and then Friday, Sprint Right Option Podcast with Andrew Pasquini. So, shout out to you guys.
That's hilarious. So you go grind Snoopy. We'll be out here, still doing content, all that good stuff. And again, as always, we appreciate all you guys. Smash that like button on your way out. Sub to both channels if you haven't already. We'll be back next week. Hopefully talking about another big win for Brock Purdy, and the legend of Brock continues. We'll find out if it's going to head in the right direction or go the opposite direction. It's going to be a wild ride, that's for sure. But as always, thank you all for tapping in. We're out of here. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to